Hi guys, on behalf of Candela, I congratulate you for successfully completing the main examination. So relax and refresh for some time, and please get back in time because you need to prepare for the next very important part of your examination. In fact, right, everyone aspire to be there to face the so-called the personality test. So, here in Candela, we are making a series of lectures about the personality test where we will be sharing our experiences and some valuable inputs which may help you in cracking this particular test. So, remember, this is a personality test and this is not an interview. So, here they are not going to give you marks based on the number of correct answers. In fact, it is just a purposeful conversation to study your personality. So the first thing which our people do after the main examination is to find the proper definition for personality. To know what is a good personality, what is a bad personality. I have to tell you one important thing here. To be an IAS officer or to be an IPS officer, one need to have some extra attributes above the standard definition for personality. In fact, there is no standard definition for personality. So what makes an awesome personality? And for this examination or for this service, to make a career in IAS or IPS or in foreign service, what exactly is the extra thing which you need and which your examiner will look from you while studying or while doing the personality test? To what extent you are capable of dealing with the pressure? To what extent, right, you are capable of dealing with extraordinary people? Sometimes, right, there may be a need to deal with extraordinary VVIPs. You may be receiving the Prime Minister of the country, the President of the country. You may be hosting the Governor of the state. And service or career as a IAS or IPS, this will throw you lot of challenges. How ready you are to face these challenges? And apart from that, in fact, this is the only service, right, in which maybe the judiciary or the Election Commission of India may advise you to take action against your own boss. They may ask you, see, the Chief Minister of a state came to your district for campaigning. He did lot of poll code violations. What are you doing? Did you serve notice to him or not? There you cannot say, sir, he is my boss. How can I serve notice to him? No, you need to serve a notice, be it CM or PM. So there is a need to have some extra capabilities. What exactly these things are? But I'll tell you one thing. Once when you reach this particular stage, by default, you might have developed a lot of these capabilities by yourself. And the training in Labasna, that is sufficient to make you a better IAS officer. But still there is an opportunity for UPSC to select the better one. So that's why, right, they are calling you for the personality test. In stage by stage manner, I will explain you how you need to start your preparation for this personality test. So before starting to explore about oneself, there is also a small need first to know about the UPSC chairman and the members. So first I advise you to do some minimum work about who these people are. Who is the chairman of the UPSC? Who are the other members of UPSC? It is they who are going to conduct your personality test. So you will be there before any one of them. So it is always advisable to have some idea about who these people are. Are they from academic background or are they from a civil service background? So if they are from academic background, like what are all their academic achievements? How extraordinary they were at the university level? and what is their subject area of specialization. You need to have some minimum idea at least. Then they are, suppose if that member was a retired civil servant, where he served, what are all the positions he had held, and to some extent or know about there will be some area in which he will be a specialist. So try to know that area also. Apart from that, most of the people might have written some books. If at all you can manage to know, we do not have time to read the entire book, but at least try to have some idea about what these are. Somebody might have reviewed these books. At least try to read those reviews so that you can get some idea about the personality of the people who are going to study your personality. Study your personality. Okay, it happened actually. We cannot. I cannot just tell them directly who they are actually, but one aspirant, right, in his personality test, he went to a board of one very powerful bureaucrat, and while answering, there was some question for which, right, he made some reference from that member's book. How, to what extent that member might have got impressed. So these are ways to impress our examiner. Along with that, it is always better to make yourself acquainted with these people. So you can just Google and search their images. Try to keep the images in your laptop and just spend some time before them. These are the people who are going to conduct the interview, conduct the personality test. So it is always advisable to know who these people are first, and little bit of idea about who they are, their area of specialization. So suppose if there is one officer, and if he is a specialist in dealing with or who dealt with India-Sri Lanka relations, you need to be very careful if he throws a question about India's relationship with our neighbors. You need to be very cautious. If you know, answer it. Here we are not supposed to bluff your examiner. So for that, some basic information about the members of the chairman is essential. After doing this, right, then one can start rediscovering about themselves, to know about who they are. So one need to have good idea starting from their name, their parents' name. If suppose somebody's name is Rajesh, what is the meaning for this name? And is there any other very famous personality with the same name? About your parents' name. You need to be comfortable. Okay. Then the institutions in which one has studied, the school, their college. Suppose if somebody has studied from DAV school. No, DAV means Dayananda Anglo-Vedic School. Here one need to give a lot of importance to this actually. Dayanand, Swami Dayanand Saraswati. He is Arya Samaj. And the philosophy behind the Arya Samaj, the infallibility of Vedas, his movement for go back to Vedas. Why did he disregard all the subsequent literatures as something written by less people, which is responsible for most of the social evils? Then who actually founded this DAV school? Lala Hansraj, Gurudatta Vidyarthi. In fact, the first DAV school was established in Lahore. Then now there is one recent controversy. So because Dayanand spoke in length about Vedas, infallibility of Vedas. Recently, the IIT Kharagpur have published one controversial calendar in which they tried to show that Aryans were also a part of the Harappan civilization. So it created a mild controversy. And what is this controversy? And here they will ask us to take a stand about that issue. So this is how one particular issue will lead to a number of subsequent questions. So after doing about your school, then about your university. Or suppose if you are from a very big reputed institutions, there may be a good number of alumni from your institution. So try to list down at least some 10 important or some very important alumni from your educational institution, their contributions in various fields, etc. So after doing this, then we can proceed towards the other aspect of the preparation, like knowing about your hometown, knowing about your district, knowing about your hobbies. So what are all the things you can expect from your hobbies, all from your detailed application form, from your DAF. In that one particular issue which I have seen over years that people are facing is a break in their career. Somebody might have finished their college at 2017. Now it is 2022 and now they are going for the interview. Immediately your examiner will throw, what, 5 years? 5 years break? Hey, what were you doing for 5 full years, man? I didn't put any job description, any employment. What were you doing for 5 years? See, one very important thing which you need to remember here is these are the ways by which your board can throw or can create a pressure situation. In fact, they are not bothered about what you did. And one very important thing, keep in mind, never they will ask you about your academic achievements or maybe there might have been some problem during your academic career, or during your college level or university level. You might have failed in few examinations, or you might have taken it again. Hardly it matters here. They are not going to ask you any such questions from the past. But this break is one particular thing, right, which your examiner may use to create some stress. The main aim here is they are not going to bother about what you did in the past, and that hardly have any utility in the subject. Here, there is an opportunity to throw a stress, and they will just see how you are going to respond. So there are a number of ways by which UPSC conducts the interview. Few board members, what they will do, they will create a stress situation and they'll expect how you are reacting. Few board, they'll make you very comfortable and they'll study your personality. Few boards will be so confusing and so misleading, and you'll be totally clueless at what these people are trying to figure out here. So this I will be briefing you. So what are all the ways, right, they deal with this test, how they put pressure, or how they just create a situation where they can study your personality. So there is one technique by which they can throw some pressure, but here keep yourself very cool. Even if you have did nothing in the past, please do not bluff anything. Simply say, pardon me sir, I didn't do anything. I was just eating and sleeping at my home, and occasionally when I got time, I was just preparing for this examination. It will be so ruthless if you speak like this, but what I mean to say is, do not bluff anything here. Try to be very honest in giving your answer. And if you try to bluff them, here comes the issue. Very easily they can identify that you are bluffing. For example, one student who appeared his examination, right? He had a huge break, and he was a civil engineer, and he got a question from the board. So huge break. What were you doing? He said, "Sir, I was with my civil engineer. My brother is a contractor, and I am working with him, and I am doing some construction activities." Suddenly, question like this come like an arrow. Yeah, really? What is the cost of a brick what is the cost of a cement bag? What is the cost of a load of river soil? He was taken by a surprise. Those people who are sitting there before you, they are not ordinary people. Just keep that in mind. So make yourself comfortable. At the same time, make it sure that you are not going to bluff them. And if you think about bluffing them, right, you need to make too many stories. You need to cook too many stories. And just by looking into your eyes, right, they can understand what you are doing. So never do that. And this, they do it mainly to create some sort of stress and to look how you are responding. How you are responding. There were many such cases. One person, he got into IRS. I think until 2006-7, for every single recruit into the civil services will have their foundation course in Labasna. So he was into his foundation course in Labasna, and the one distinguished member, he went there as a guest to give a lecture. There, while having dinner, that guy went to him and said, "Sir, I was there in your board. I'm into revenue service, sir. Had you given me another 2 marks, I might have got into IAS." That reply from that member was so shocking. He said that, "Guys, we smell bureaucrats. There is no need that I need to sit before you, I need to conduct an interview and to speak with you to know your caliber. We can smell bureaucrats." This is what the quality of the people whom we are going to face. Always keep that in mind. So the first and foremost thing which you need to keep in your mind is, please do not think about bluffing them. And if you think about doing that, right, that creates too much of anxiety. God, I'm going to say this. What if he has such a question? What he has such a question, etc., etc. Okay. So slowly let us start our preparation. In the subsequent lectures, I will just brief you how to work your DAF. Starting from your name, your college name, your district, at your district level, what all the things you are supposed to know. At state level, if you are from a particular state, what all the things you are supposed to know. And in current affairs also now, your focus of preparation should be slightly different from how you prepared for written examination. See, now I advise you, say, even in the Hindu, the newspaper, before the editorial, there will be one particular column which was devoted to letters to the editors. Letters to the editors, where about a few important issues we can see a number of people writing or giving their opinion. So few may be so idiotic, but magazines or newspapers like the Hindu will avoid idiotic reviews. But most of them will be so relevant that give you some idea about the pros and cons of a particular issue. Even in economic times, I also advise you to go through economic times, because in economic times, very frequently there will be a big debate about pressing issues. So many relevant or many great personalities will be giving their opinion, subject matter specialists, they will speak about their opinion. So you'll be in a position to understand the pros and cons of a particular issue. So now try to identify at least some 5 issues in a week and try to work thoroughly. What are the pros and cons of this particular issue? And you need to take a middle stand. Fine. So let us in the subsequent lectures, right, I will discuss about everything, every nuances in length. And I once again, I congratulate you and I wish you all the success in your endeavor. So one simple thing which I will tell you is also even without any preparation, you can just go to the interview board and you can score some marks. What I'm saying, there is always a scope for improvement. There is always a scope for improvement. There is a scope for at least some 30 to 50 marks you can improve if you do a lot of hard work. And guys, most of you right because of your very hard work in the past year, few months or so, you might have developed a huge pot belly. That is certainly not certainly that will not give you a very good opinion. Please, it's time to hit the gym also. So maybe 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. Also work on your physical fitness. So I'll keep instructing you on what to do in the coming lectures. So until then, have a great time and thank you.